Hello, people. So I've made a number of videos on the subject. This one is a little bit more intended with women in mind. For some reason, it seems most of my videos, the majority of my subscribers are male. Now, I don't know whether it's the subjects I'm talking about, or I'm not really sure why that is, but it's a good, I'd say 80%. Um, of course, anyone can watch this, anyone can comment, but I particularly have women in mind. um, and particularly women who may be thinking about online dating. Now, before I get into this, by the way, I may make another video. My membership of eHarmony expires in about 12 days, thereabouts the 23rd of July. So it seems like a good time to do it. I may well make another video after that to have a overall conclusion and overall sort of analysis of this. But this one is sort of meant to be I guess, feedback or an insight over perhaps what to expect or particularly what other people may be looking for. Now, I have a few disclaimers to make here. I have no pretenses here. I have no grandiosity. I am very aware that I'm very average looking. I am very aware that I am far from an expert in the world of dating. I have had partners before, so I'm not totally, um, without experience, but it's been a while, and I don't want to imply that this is kind of like I'm some sort of dating guru or something. That very, very far from it, believe me. So it's not intended to be that way. It's not intended to be patronizing, and it's certainly not intended to tell anyone what to do. But it is the honest insight of someone who's been through this, and maybe it might be helpful if you could see that from a guy's perspective. Um, because I think often what people think about is, well, what is the other side thinking? Um, that Mel Gibson film, What Women Want, comes to mind. Although he may not be the best poster boy for it. But anyway, I've had a lot of exchanges with people on that side. Um, I mean, it's been almost a year. I've talked to a lot of people, which I suppose is better than nothing. But I haven't quite found the person yet. Now, a little disclaimer, and I'm going to just mention this briefly because it is quite personal. There is one particular member there that I've been in contact with, and we really hit it off a few weeks ago. Um, and nothing has happened in terms of, at least from what I could see, from how we see each other. We really hit it off like well, and it was a great feeling. But basically, something interrupted that. She hasn't got back to me. So I suppose I am making this video partly in context to that. Um, I'm a bit frustrated and hurt by that because this person knows that communication is important to me. But there is an external factor that may be affecting this, um, which is namely that her mother feels that she needs to get on with studies rather than talking to strangers online. Um, by the way, she's 27, so she's younger than me, but she's a nursing student, and um, I miss her very much. It was a brief time that we were talking, but we really, really hit it off, and I don't know what happened. Um, Ostensibly, that's a reason. I suspect her mother's had some sort of influence, but anyway, that's. I don't want to talk too much about that because I just don't know yet. She could contact me tomorrow. She could contact me next week. She might say nothing. She did say that she'd get back in touch. But one thing I've learned about online dating is words matter less than actions. That's the truth. Um, so my experience is, and I'm even wondering if I should have said that because people might read into that and say, "Oh, well, this guy is upset. That's why he's making the video." It is there. It's part of the context, but I think that actually puts me in a position to talk about this because it's raw experience and I think it's just useful. perhaps to hear an insight into this. So, a brief introduction if you don't know how eHarmony works or you're very new to it. Basically, you set up your profile. I have a premium membership because really without it, it's pointless. You can't do anything without a premium membership. I mean, you can't send messages, you can't read messages, you can't see profiles because they're all blurred out. So that's completely pointless. So it's kind of a marketing technique I think dating sites use to get you to basically pay for their site, which makes sense. They are a business in the end of the day. Um, as a site, I've mixed views about eHarmony in the sense that it is professional insofar as they're not just throwing sex in your face. It's not shallow. There is some depth to it, and I think there is some depth to the people who are on it in the sense that a good number of them do take it seriously. I certainly do. I'm looking for a serious partner, if not a life partner. It's certainly something I take seriously. So I invested some time into trying to make my profile as good as possible, to sell myself, to try and be have a positive outlook to it. Um, and I find some people maybe feel that maybe they've given up and they just don't see it's worth it. You can edit your profile, so I updated mine to say that my membership will expire. So if anyone's interested, please be aware of that. Um, in my time on eHarmony, I've contacted women a lot more than they've contacted me. I don't read that as, oh, I'm not popular with the ladies. I think it's just about being able to see other guys and how they approach it. I think there is still maybe a slightly old-fashioned approach on eHarmony whereby the guy makes the first move. I do feel that's, without being able to prove it, I think that's probably the prevailing mindset. Um, and I think there's different pressures for men and women. So for men, I'm speaking as a straight guy, the pressure is that you invest time into trying to make a nice, thoughtful message, and then you don't get reply. And when this happens quite a few times, it starts to sap on your confidence and it starts to make you think, what's the point? I'm making this effort and they're just not bothering to get back to me. I'll come back to that in a minute because it's very important. But I do recognize the pressure that women might face on, I mean, perhaps less so on eHarmony because of the sort of culture that is there, but certainly on other sites. What I'm talking about is they may get lots of sleazy messages from guys who are not being serious, who maybe are just looking for sex, and so they'll get sleazy messages, and perhaps the pressure there is a trust issue. So perhaps some women are reluctant to even answer the messages because they're tired of getting that. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but that's what I would imagine it would be. I do see a number of profiles, incidentally, from female members saying things like, I mean, of course, I can only see the female members. I can't see what other men how they're approaching it, but it will be things like, if you're a serious guy, please message me. No sex talk, please, or do not waste my time. And sometimes it's quite offensive. And I must be honest. In the beginning, I thought, well, you're not going to get anyone with that attitude if it's really standoffish and really. But then I thought, well, maybe they have had problems with this. Maybe they're just fed up with it, and that's why they're putting that sort of defensive tone. I must admit, there's been times I've been frustrated, and I felt like changing my introduction, like "Don't waste my time," or being very cynical. It's very very difficult to try and get the balance between being positive, i.e., being appealing to people, but at the same time being assertive enough to protect yourself and protect your own feelings and know what you want. It's very difficult. I will say this, so getting back to my point, I personally, and this is my values, I'm not saying people have to agree. I personally think that if someone takes the time to leave a thoughtful message and you don't reply, that's just rude. Now, if someone leaves me a message, I will always reply, always, because I think it's just politeness. I've seen messages on Reddit because I've gone Reddit recently, and I've seen people ask these sort of questions. One woman was saying, she was asking about eHarmony etiquette. So I left her quite a long message. Hopefully, it was helpful because she was saying, and I don't reply to them. And I was saying, with all due respect, and then basically saying the things I'm saying in this video. This idea, and this isn't, I think it's true not just of dating sites, but of life generally, that you spare someone's feelings by saying nothing, by basically ghosting them, it's absolute nonsense. Take it from me. I would much, much sooner deal with bad news and move on rather than have no news and be in limbo. I will take the bad news every time. It's not that anyone wants bad news. If I really like a member and she rejects me, of course it's going to be disappointing. But if I really like a member and we're connecting, and then she says nothing, which is kind of the situation I'm in right now, it's really, really difficult. I mean, I've this has affected me quite badly. I'm trying to keep busy. Um, I'm doing things like this. I mean, this is actually helpful for me. That's partly why I'm doing it. But keeping someone in limbo is not cool. It's just not because you can't sort of assume, oh well, he must get the idea. It depends on the level of communication, I would say. If you've had very minimal communication, then yeah, he probably should take a hint. Although I still think you should be upfront and just politely reject the guy. I mean, I would approach it something along the lines of, "Thanks for taking the time to message me. I appreciate it. But to be honest, I don't think we're compatible. So I'm not really interested. But thanks for your time. Good luck." Something like that. Just ignoring him, I just think it's a bit rude. Even worse is if you do reply, sort of fleeting like, "Hello, how are you?" and then you say nothing after that. That's not cool either. Um, I guess saying nothing is preferable to misleading the guy. I would still say if he's taking the time to message you, assuming it's a respectful message and it's not sleazy. I mean, if he's sleazy, right? If he's just being inappropriate, if he's being disrespectful, then block him, report him, do something. But if if a guy leaves a message in the sort of vein that I'm talking about and the sort of vein that I do, which is hello, how are you? It's along these lines. I like the way you express yourself. We seem to have a few things in common. If you have time, would you like to chat? Something like that. Now, if someone leaves that sort of message, I would honestly say just be a decent person and give them a reply. If you're genuinely not interested, if you're not attracted to them, you don't need to say that exactly, but you could say, to be honest, I don't think we're compatible. Even a little white lie like, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure if this dating thing is for me. Something like that. There are ways to spare someone's feelings without just ignoring them, because this notion that sparing someone's feelings is done by ignoring someone, it's nonsensical. All that does is put them in a limbo. They don't know what's going on, especially if there has been some contact. So please, ladies, remember that it's not cool. Um, and I'm not being sexist here. I know some guys probably do it as well. I'm speaking to my fellow men. Don't do it. It's not cool. Um, but that's my values, it's my opinion. Other people might disagree. They might say, well, actually, that's the best approach. I'm saying that to be on the receiving end, I've been rejected on that site and it's never fun, but I got over it pretty fast. I really did because, yeah, at least you know what the situation is. And, yeah, that's it. You can think, well, okay, it didn't work out, but at least she was honest, I'll move on. If someone seems to be interested and then just trails off, it's like, well, because honestly, dead ends are the worst thing about online dating. They really are. And I would say it's probably the most trying thing. Um, I mean, between a rejection and being ignored, I think it's difficult because, if you're always rejected, that isn't going to be great either. You will think, well, what am I doing wrong? I mean, I think, I know I'm not the best looking guy. I'm average at best. But I've chosen photographs that are relatively smart. I'm clean shaven. and dress nicely. It's um, but anyway, aesthetics is only one part of it. I know I sell myself on that profile a lot more than some people do. Um, so I don't feel any kind of guilt or I don't really feel like I've done anything wrong. So it's not so much a loss of confidence for me, it's just a bit of frustration. Um, but it's a difficult thing. Um, what else can I say? If if you don't know how to reject someone, okay, well, there's ways to do it because the thing is, I've been on that side as well. I've had to reject people. What I'm talking about is I've been messaged by people who I just know I'm not compatible with because the way Harmony works is they put this little number which is supposed to show how compatible you are. It's one thing about it I think it's flawed because they have put me very highly with people that A, I'm not attracted to, but B, I look at their profile and think, what's the common ground here? We both like music. So does most people. It's like the connections seem to be very, very vague. Now, early on, a woman did message me, and she left a nice message. But I looked at her profile and she had children. Now, I've said I don't want someone who has children because I just don't want that. It's responsibility. It's a whole domain of, you have to introduce yourself to the child. It's just, I've been upfront about that. I'm not looking for that. Um, and I basically was upfront with her. I said, look, thank you very much for the nice message, but to be honest, I'm looking for someone without children. Um, but I appreciate your time and I sincerely wish you all the best. And I meant it. I meant it because she was obviously a decent person. Um, I had one other person I rejected, and in that case, it was um, because I was just at the time I was invested in someone else, and I didn't want to. I just didn't want to start building up a relationship with another member when I was really invested in that one. I've mentioned that before. It's a long story. I got very, very close to that member and it all fell flat. Um, so anyway, during that time, this person messaged me, and I was basically treating it almost like that person was my girlfriend because the way we were talking and communicating felt like that. So I rejected this person basically for that reason. It was like, again, thank you for your time. I just told her the truth. I said, thank you for your time. But to be completely honest, I'm getting quite close to another member, and I really want to see where that goes. But I appreciate your time, and best wishes. So it isn't easy rejecting someone, but there are ways to do it. I think it's a bit of an excuse, and frankly, I think it's a little bit cowardly to just say nothing. If especially if you have had some communication. If there's been no communication, that's not so bad. But if there's been some communication and then you're just ignoring the person, that's a bit it's I think a little bit shitty to be quite honest. Just have the decency to reply to him or to reply to her. That's all. Because all you're doing is leaving them in limbo. Can't just always expect the other person to second guess and think, oh well, he should work it out. Um, you can't play with people's feelings like that. Leading them on effectively by, well, okay, leading them on might be a bit of a strong term, but giving them hope. Let's put it that way. So I'll just conclude with this. Most people who are on a site like eHarmony want some sort of serious relationship. Actually, I did have a woman contact me recently. She admitted that she was just browsing. She wasn't looking for a serious relationship. But I'd initially contacted her. She thanked me for my message. She said she could see that I was a sincere guy. She really appreciated it. She wasn't looking for anything serious. Now I thought, well, that's cool. She's a decent person. She took the time to be upfront, to be honest, and I accepted it. I was a little disappointed. I accepted it because of the approach that she took. Now, I admit there will probably be some guys out there who won't take no for an answer and they'll badger to the point of being, questionable behavior. And some women might as well. But I just think, as a general rule, call me old fashioned, but I believe in good manners. I believe in etiquette in this sort of context. I don't believe in playing with people's feelings. Um, and I don't like mine being played with. So unfortunately, with eHarmony or with any dating site, I mean, I can't really compare it to others because I haven't had experience of others. Um, the reason I went to eHarmony is because it's better known, it's well established. Um, it's not easy. It's not easy, and it can be quite draining. For me, it hasn't really dented my confidence because I don't think I've done anything wrong. I mean, I when I look at my profile, when I look at how I sell myself, describe myself, when I look at my approach, um, I honestly think it's just been bad luck. I have made some friends through it, which is always good. It's always nice to have new friends, and I still talk to them, and some of them I have good relationships with as friends. Well, I should say as online friends. I mean, I'm not going to pretend we're lifelong friends, but I've always got on well with women, so I've always somehow had a rapport with women, even if it hasn't reached the romantic level. So quite fortunate in that regard. Um, Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I would just say, of course, be assertive, know what you want, look out for yourself. Um, if you're getting loads of messages from guys, just check them out. Some of them, if you have a premium service, some of those guys might be actually the sort of guy that you're looking for. You might find that if you're rejecting loads of messages, you might be rejecting the right one. Um, so why not just check them out. If they're sleazy, I would, if they're really in your face sleazy, I would block those guys. One of the worst things on eHarmony is when someone rejects you without saying anything, and it's just like this person says goodbye because it's very automated. That's eHarmony. For example, if you just delete someone as a contact, because eHarmony gives this list of contacts that are supposedly compatible with you, and if you suddenly delete them, then it's not okay. It's not like Facebook where the other person doesn't know. On eHarmony, it's like this person says goodbye, and it's not them saying goodbye. It's eHarmony's automated system. I don't like it. I think it's a bit clinical and dismissive. I mean, if I send someone a message and then the next day this person says goodbye, I'm thinking, well, what did I say wrong? Because I know I'm a gentleman, I know I'm always respectful in my words, so what the hell? I mean, I'd almost rather she says nothing. That's just very clinical and dismissive. Um, and actually, the woman on Reddit did mention that she didn't like it either. Um, and you know what? I'm talking about what might be helpful. Perhaps, open question, females, women out there who've used this, what do you think of all this? What's your take on the silence thing? Is that what you would do? And if you do, why do you do it? I'm not saying that in a challenging way. I genuinely would like to know why women do this. I mean, do you think you're sparing the guy's feelings? Because for me, at least, and I'm not speaking for every guy, but it doesn't. I know there's probably good intentions there. A friend of mine on Facebook actually said that I didn't specifically talk about eHarmony, but she did say, her words, we women shouldn't do this, but we do it because we think we're trying to spare the guy's feelings. Believe me, ladies, it doesn't. All it does is put the guy in a limbo, and you don't want to do that because he doesn't know what the situation is. And then chances are, if he was really interested in you, he's not going to take no for an answer. He's going to try again, and then it might just become annoying for you because you're not interested. So it's better to just be upfront. Now, if you are upfront and he's not taking no for an answer, well, he should. Um, that's my honest take. It's just about mutual respect, and I really, really think. But it's the world we live in, unfortunately. The internet puts up this barrier. I suppose it happens in the real world, though. I mean, people get stood up, they go on a date, and it's almost actually, I would say, not following up on a message is almost the equivalent of being stood up. If you go on a date and the woman doesn't bother to show up, or the guy doesn't bother to show up, I think that's a very shitty and cowardly thing to do of that person. There's no excuse. If you get hung up like by public transport or there's been a family tragedy or something, then you can still let the person know. You can still text them and say, "I'm very sorry, but this has happened." simply blowing someone off, I think that's pretty bad. I think it's pretty bad. I think it's cowardly. I think it's a shitty way to treat someone. That's my honest opinion. I remember the scene in Gregory's Girl where poor Gregory, if you know the film, he's blown off, and the girl just blasé about it. That's something I have little respect for. When someone is rude when they miss an appointment, I'm talking about life generally here, not just in romance, and they don't even have the decency to say sorry. They're just blasé, oh, sorry about that, but only because they've been reminded of what actually happened. Um, Good manners. It's important in life because life is short, and treating other people, taking other people for granted in that way, it's just not cool. Okay, I'll round this up. Already 26 minutes. Let me know your thoughts honestly, and if anyone wants any feedback, I'm not going to say advice because I'm not a dating guru. But if you want some feedback, maybe you're thinking about joining one of these sites, I'll try my best to answer questions from my experience. Thanks for watching.